Coach Nyla and I have specifically had different wives say to us, well, I don't really want to be vulnerable with him. And I'm going, well, why not? It's not a bad thing. We look at it as a weakness.
Salaam alaikum, peace. I'm Coach Nadir.
And I'm his wife, Coach Fatima.
And I am Coach Nyla. I am also his wife.
Today, we have a topic that is very interesting. A lot of different theories, a lot of different assumptions of what people want in general. Now, specifically, what women want. So they have the floor. They're going to let us know what they really want. All right, really want in, a husband. And somebody they're going to have a relationship with, want to build with, and everything like that. So we're all ears because I think you'll learn more of what women want from this video than you might learn from what they might necessarily want to eat tonight. So, go ahead. What do women really want? In a husband, a man, in a relationship. What is it?
It's really interesting because women are put in the category of being very complicated. As Coach there eloquently put it, that you might not find out what they want to eat, type of thing. But I think if you break it down in a category or a few categories and things like that, a lot of the little bits and pieces find themselves in those categories. One of the things is security. I'm not going to run through my three categories right now because go right, and the rest of us are just going to go and discuss these things. But one, I talk about 3 S's. Just say one of them, then I'm going to just pick one. But it's security, support, and stability. And I'm going to talk about security right now. Security is not just, okay, I take care of you, or, exactly. I'm protecting you from, from the elements or anything like that, or financial security or anything. It's a lot of different things. But some things is, it can be complex. However, I'm just going to break down a little bit. Security, protecting from the outer and inner. So protecting from the outer enemy, the outer forces, that's people that are talking bad about you, yes. Pretty much having your back. People that may be being dismissive, or people that's hurting you, people that's harming you. Also inner things as far as, your own bad thoughts and ideas and different things as far as that nature. And I know we talk about it a lot, being responsible for your own happiness and being responsible for your own things. However, being able to have that feeling of support when you are not at your best, yes. When you are messing up yourself, or when you have the world, or you feel like you have the world on your shoulders, but to have somebody there to say, you know what, this is not what it is, but I do have your back, right. Or you don't act like that, or take care of yourself, because right. Sometimes we don't take care of ourselves. So having that support from distractions, having that support from, security, having that security, that protection from distractions, having that protection from, negative thoughts and negative people and things like that. So that's one of the things.
See, it's a category. A whole category that has subcategories under it. So we're going to, security, we just going to check that out. Security. Under all things.
And you will benefit from the category. That's the beautiful part about it, especially getting it from us and being in marriage, and especially in polygyny. Another thing that women want so much is value. They want value placed on themselves, and especially, sometimes we don't want to admit it when we're in polygyny, but we want value placed on our husbands and on our marriages. And when we don't get it, sometime that other us comes out. But I noticed that we want to be valued, validated, all those words, because there's security in that, you know, and placing value on the importance of our marriages and the magnitude of them.
We'd like to interrupt this video to let you guys know to make sure you are registered for the Women's Polygyny Masterclass. Yeah. Yes, it's our 4-part Polygyny Masterclass with your coaches, Coach Nyla
and Coach Fatima.
And we are going to talk about different things in preparing and thriving and growing in polygyny.
Yeah, and your co-wife connection. Everybody asks us, so we're going to go there. We're going to talk about all those things. We really hope you guys join us.
So make sure you click the link in the description and don't forget to register. We'll see you soon. I'll let you get back to the video.
So I was like, is everybody like trying to fight for validation, but at the same time trying to fight to prove that their marriage is valuable to them? You know, and sometimes we don't tell the other person it's valuable. Sometimes we don't act like it's valuable, but that might be because there's residual hurt or whatever you might not have dealt with. But I'm like, we really want to be valued, you know, and not looked over, taken for granted, things of that nature. And I think any human being that is married wants those things, but specifically women, because I find that some men, be very careful with the placement of my words, they're not as forthcoming with those words. I value you, I appreciate you. It might come in a card, it might come in the form of a flower, it might come in the form of a dinner, or whatever the case may be. It might be a hug, it might be something nonverbal, but we've gotten so used to not saying to each other, I value you, I value the relationship, I hear you. You know, and when we don't get it, we want to act ugly sometimes. But I said everybody's fighting for value. The men are, our husbands are, the wives, the women are, our children are. Even a baby wants validation. Even a child wants to be valued, or else they wouldn't run up to us and say, look what I did, look what I can do, right? So I didn't realize the value of marriage until I was part of a healthier marriage. I saw when people were married coming up, I'm like, ooh, this ain't valuable. This is toxic. This is dysfunctional. But once you want to, when you have the desire to create a family or a marriage and then a family that's valuable to you, the value goes up on just being married, period. So especially when we're women in polygyny and people want to keep hitting us with the share, you know, the share, they're devaluing. They think they are devaluing our marriages or just us as individuals. So I find that we're fighting to be validated. Is it validated? Validated, if I can speak my own native tongue, and valued. So yes, value matters. Matters to me very much.
So number 2, value and all the other stuff that going on
with it. And support and all the stuff that goes on.
And all the things.
And that's support is providing financially, emotionally, and mentally, you know, being that provider. You know, men are providers, yes. And it's not just about the finances. It's not just about the house and the car and this. And, you know, hey, as long as I, you know, giving her the money, then everything is all gravy.
Right. She can
you know, so right. So, you know, what about, you know, the mental support? You know, what about providing me with that care that I probably so desperately need, that, you know, that I think that I can get from you because I'm being vulnerable, because I'm giving you this part of me that only you should have of me. So, you know, being able to be a provider in saying that, you know what, I see you, right. I understand you, and I got you, you know, type of thing.
I got you, dang. And what I like about that part is we need it spiritually too. So if it's time for Salat, let's get it. If it's time for prayer, be that reminder, you know, let's pray in the masjid. That to me, that's one of the most beautiful things that you could do as a Muslim couple is offer your prayer together. Yes, absolutely. If we throw it around, but that's real talk. If I'm praying with you, that there's a sense of fulfillment that we're doing something is in this life that's going to affect us in the next, and there's beauty in there. There's intimacy in offering a prayer together with your husband, especially when you're a wife and we're not the acting imam in the house. So to be able to share those moments, especially at specific times of the day, at Fajr and at Maghrib, especially when everything is either awakening or it is going to sleep, is one of the most intimate things you can do. So I love that part of having support, and especially spiritual support from your spouse. It really is something that can bind you together if you let it. You running off every time it's time to pray. I don't know what to tell you. Get in the room, but it'll just like when you pray at home and then you pray in the masjid. There's a different feeling that can come over you, especially those of us that aren't at Juma every single week like the men are. I find that when we're in a masjid, there's something that washes over you. And you can become very spiritually connected in that space. That's one of the safest spaces I've ever been as a woman, is in our masjid, any masjid. So yes, I like that part.
So number 3, support. In all the things that go on with it.
And number 4, vulnerability. This is a big one because sometimes we want our spouse to be vulnerable with us, but then we're not willing to do it back. But it's, how do we want something that we're not giving? So if you want it, you kind of got to give a little to get a little, and we don't want to give anything sometimes. I've been noticing that because we've had, Coach Nyla and I have specifically had different wives say to us, well, I don't really want to be vulnerable with him. And I'm going, well, why not? It's not a bad thing. We look at it as a weakness, and it's not a weakness at all. It's a strength. So when we want to share with our spouse, then sometimes we're letting them know that they can share with us without the judgment that's attached to it. And we've talked about this many, many times, Coach Niall and I. We actually spoke about it in depth in a number of trainings that we did, but placing value on being vulnerable in your relationship matters. It matters especially to women because society kind of teaches us that men can't be vulnerable at all, or else they're not men. And it's such a wrong statement to make. It's so, what do they call it when you make just a general statement? It's just not true. They're vulnerable, but in different ways. They might show it in different ways. But the last thing that we need to do is just act like we don't have those moments. So we want that, but we also have to give it as well and be understanding when it's given. And I think if, especially growing in the West, when you're vulnerable with someone, it's almost as though right up under that, to be vulnerable is to be judged. So if you're vulnerable to me, then I'm going to judge you on it. Well, why do you feel that way? Well, why did you say that? Well, why did you do that? It becomes an interrogation once you're vulnerable. And we have to change that narrative, especially in our marriages and especially in polygyny, when we want to find out something, but we're not willing to meet a common ground and offer to say, okay, this is how I kind of feel about this. This is what's been bothering me. This makes me sad. This makes me feel as though, this makes me feel some sort of confusion. There's so much honesty in being vulnerable. I like that those two things are kind of married to each other, that honesty, vulnerability. But we really want to share our stories and truly try to understand what it's like for men in polygyny, because it really helps us to kind of gauge where we can be supported or supportive. And that matters to women a lot, to be able to see the human quality in a man, especially our spouses, that strengthens the relationship. That's what I see.
All right, so number 4 is vulnerability. This is like getting more challenging as it go on. Vulnerability, that's not an easy one.
That's not easy.
Yeah, we want you to be vulnerable, and we want to be able to be vulnerable with you.
Right.
So, yes.
Right.
Be able to trust us to have your back as well.
There it is. I'm just saying.
So, and stability.
Instability?
No, and stability.
All right.
And.
All right.
Come on, Midwestern
Not instability. We don't want no stability.
Yes.
And that means consistency, being consistent, having growth, consistent with growth, and certainty. We like certainty. And even if the certainty comes in the form of just me knowing that you will come to me about something that's an issue, me knowing that you can be vulnerable to me about certain things, and I can be vulnerable, those different things, having that certainty, having that
certainty a different one?
No, stability. No, it's under the stability category. I got categories.
Can we spell certainty with an S?
Got categories. So yes, and then being consistent. So it's like, for example, you have people that do certain things, or your kids. And she was like, oh, your kid did da-da-da-da-da. Not that we know everything that our kids do or anything like that. Mm-hmm. However, we know that they're consistent in certain things. Mm-hmm. Or our spouse. Our spouse is consistent in certain things. So if a person can't come up to us and say, oh, well, such and such did da-da-da-da-da. Like, what I want, because they're consistent in this particular thing, right, that is out of their character. That doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. So I'll go and find out, we'll go, whatever. Whoever you are, go find out. Because when it comes down to it, if a person is consistent in what they do and consistent in their character, yes, it creates that certainty where that, or you at least have a good feeling and a good inkling that this is what it's about. And this person I can trust when it comes to these certain things, because they have shown time and time again, this is what it looks like. This is who they are.
Stats are good.
So, yeah. Stability. Apparently, I can't speak today either.
Also, and I'm going to try to I'm going to say victory and success so that we hit both lists. But victory.
So there's no?
This victory is
all
the
right.
next one.
So then that would mean number 5 would have been stability. And certainty and everything else that come up under that too. Number 6.
It's going to be victory. And I'll say also success. Shout out to Coach Nyla's list of things. They're the same thing, but we want success in our relationships. We want to be triumphant. We want to be victorious. We want things to work out. And we always say I don't know anybody that got married and said, I want a divorce when they're getting married. I'm gonna really mess this up and I want a divorce sometime in the future. I don't know when. People don't talk like that. And if they do, they're the killer. But victory, and that's why we ask the question, when you're in marriage, when you're in polygyny, especially, do you want the union that you're in, and do you want the subsequent marriage to win? You got to ask yourself those tougher questions. So I can't see myself wanting victory for just me, little me, without wanting it for other people that are married. I don't want to see anybody's home be broken up. I don't want to see my home be broken up. So women love when things are successful and they have a feeling of success and victory when it comes to their relationships. If you are healthy and you are not, and I'm dead serious, suffering from some form of mental illness, you would want, I would hope, for your husband to be victorious in all that he does that is good for him and good for your family. And some people get mad when I say it, but I'm serious as heart attack when I say that, because it's kind of like, how are you going to be married to somebody and you want them to fail in what they're doing if it has nothing to do with you? You be victorious with me all day, but as long as it's just me and no one else gets the benefit of you being a winner. That something doesn't sit right with me with that, because there's part of it, there's it's divisive. And I despise when people use others as a tool. So yes, to want your husband to be successful, it bleeds into everything else. And it's really beautiful when that does happen. If he's a successful husband, if he's a successful spouse to you, to your co-wife, to you, a great father, a great brother to his community, why not celebrate that? Why not want to feel that, okay, I'm applauding him. I'm one of his biggest cheerleaders and he knows that. Doesn't that help you? Doesn't that help you as well? If he's victorious in everything that he does, because he's going to just bring it to everyone else. That's what's so beautiful about being married and it being successful. Everybody gets to win and support each other in their victory. That's the end of mine.
Taking mental notes, and fellas, hope you're taking notes as well. Then, so to summarize, so I'm gonna say security, and I see what y'all did. The 3 S's, 3 V's, they're all in training mode right now. I see you. I remember it like that. So you got security. All right, no particular order, I assume, right? All of these things are pretty important. So you got security. All right, you got value. Then you have support. You have vulnerability. You have stability, and then you have victory.
Bam.
So those 6 points.
Intelligence. Hello.
You got to be paying attention. We got to learn. Got to work on ourselves. So those 6 things, I call them 6 pillars, if you will, are things that women in general really desire from men. All right, and those are the men that they marry, and they want their husbands to have these types of qualities, according to Coaches Fatima and Nyla.
Gang.
You'll be able to get more information and get deeper, especially in polygyny, with
our polygyny masterclass. Yes. Our women's polygyny masterclass. Just letting y'all know that. Brothers, it's not for you. It's for the sisters.
Right.
So,
Indeed. Indeed. All those details in the description. Or, of course, if you're on our email list at outstandingpersonalrelationships.com, you already got it. We look forward to serving you, and we out with some GLC.
All right. Make sure you are growing intentionally,
loving fearlessly,
and connecting on a higher level
every single day.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace. Here are 3 ways outstanding personal relationships can help you.
Make sure you guys are following us on our social medias at Outstanding Personal Relationships on YouTube and Facebook, and on IG at Outstanding Relationships, and also Clubhouse under our names.
And make sure you go to outstandingpersonalrelationships.com and sign up for our email list. And there you will get updates on our new book, Let's Talk Polygyny Uncensored.
Absolutely. And last but not least, when it comes to coaching or counseling, if you want to work with us one-on-one or in group settings, make sure you're on that website and reach out to us, because we do have very limited spots and we usually have a wait list. So with that being said, GLC.
Make sure you are growing intentionally,
loving fearlessly,
and connecting on a higher level every single day. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.